Before we begin, thank you to those in the comment section below who commented our comment section keyword. Ilya Kovalchuk, if you want a chance to be featured in the next one, then hey, stick around to the end of this video here. And I know what you may be thinking about this video. Lego, come on, not the time, bro. There's so much other stuff to talk about when it comes to the Canadiens facing off against the Vegas Golden Knights tomorrow. Max Pacioretty's squad and Suzuki and all that. Let's talk about that. And don't worry, we've got a lot of time to ride the wave of Montreal Canadiens hype and overall performance. But today I wanted to bring up a topic that nobody is really discussing at the moment, because it's kind of a very literal case of out of sight, out of mind. When you take a look at what we have right now, everybody's seeing all the great stories and everybody's talking about all the good stories. Oh, Tyler Toffoli. Oh, Suzuki and Corey Perry. So much great stuff going on right now. But what about the guys behind the scenes? The guys who are not playing right now, the guys who are in the press box, the guys who are at home. Let's talk today about the future of Tomas Tatar, as well as the future of Jonathan Drouin. Now, we've had ourselves a few interviews that I wanted to go over and highlight a few of these quotes, because when it comes to these guys, we all kind of know the memes with Tomas Tatar at the moment, because what happened when Tomas Tatar was sent over to the Vegas Golden Knights for a first, a second, and a third from Detroit? They ended up benching him because he wasn't really that good of a fit with the Golden Knights. And now you take a look at what happened after Tatar was traded over to Montreal. Hey, the first few seasons, great. Sniping kind of guy, offensive contributor kind of guy. He was out there scoring points like crazy. But hey, what happened in the postseason? Well, we had a few injuries. We had a few games where Tatar wasn't really converting, I guess, and eventually he was taken out of the lineup for a cycle between Arturi Lehkonen and Eric Stahl and Caulfield and all these guys, you know, pretty much just Lehkonen. And now you're in a position where Tomas Tatar hasn't played a game in 2 series. He literally last suited up in the middle of the Toronto series. The Golden Knights are playing the Canadiens, and it's a matchup not of 2 teams that have players that were traded for each other and Pacioretty and Suzuki. Nah, we're having a matchup between 2 teams that both scratched Tatar in the postseason. And yeah, that's the narrative I'm gonna go with here. Obviously, I'm just kind of playing around. But Tomas Tatar is interesting because he is indeed a free agent to be, and when you had conversations with Canadiens fans and the media and all that, asking who the Canadiens should bring back, there was always a really, really big discussion to have about the top 2 guys on the team. Who were the top 2 guys? Well, for the longest time, it was always Danault and Tatar, because both of these guys are indeed expiring contracts, along with the slew of Armia, Lehkonen, Stahl, Kotkaniemi, Corey Perry, Frolik, Belzile, Dauphin, Vejdemo. Okay, those guys don't really mean much in this conversation here. But it was always those big guys at the top. It was Tatar, it was Danault, you had the prospects, and you had the middle guys like Armia and Lehkonen. So where would you go with re-signing these players, especially with the fact that you had $12 million in projected cap space for the next year? We always had these discussions, oh, if you have to expend an asset here, get rid of another guy there, we'll have ourselves an opportunity to keep all the guys that we want to keep. But that was only really on the assumption that people wanted to come back with Danault and Tatar. Danault was in a position where, because it was reported that he denied those contract offers back in the offseason, everybody was like, okay, we're not going to have Danault next year. This guy's going to demand so much money. This and that and the other thing. Let's just use that money for Kotkaniemi and whoever else is available in free agency, right? Let's go. But I mean, that was back in like the summer, after the summer. That was before the season started. Now we're in a position where Philippe Danault has shown off that the value that he feels that he has is absolutely real. He shut down Austin Matthews. He shut down the top line of the Winnipeg Jets. Danault's not out here with a whole bunch of points, far from it. He doesn't really produce, but hey, what he does do well, that's extraordinarily important. So now when you take a look at it, would you be willing to spend a $6-ish million AAV salary contract on Danault, or maybe a 6.5, or maybe even a little bit more than that if he asks for it? And on the other hand, you have Tomas Tatar, who literally hasn't played a game in a series and a half, and he's still out here in the press box. The Habs are winning without him, and he's expiring next year. I don't know about you, but if Tomas Tatar was already considering going to free agency and not re-signing with Montreal before the playoffs, he for sure is even more solidified in that opinion now. Because I don't know about you, but if this team is displaying all the signs of being able to win series and win games without this guy, the bargaining power for a Tatar in negotiations with Marc Bergevin, all of a sudden that's out the window. Because Montreal can just straight up say, okay, you're good, yeah, but we don't really need you, bud. Like, we went this far without you. We started winning after we took you out of the lineup. If I was Tatar in that situation, I have no idea why I would want to come back on a team that might pay me a little bit less than another team that would be able to pay me more in free agency. And that is very well exemplified that they don't need me to win. So for Tomas Tatar heading into the short-term and long-term future, I'm really interested in seeing if he actually suits up for a game against Vegas here, try to get the mojo going against a team that he didn't really mesh with earlier on in his career, or if he even suits up at all for the Canadiens in 2021-2022. Because with the way everything has formed out, I would not be surprised if the Canadiens just straight up say, okay, we're good here, man. Like, thank you for your service, but we don't need you anymore. Furthermore, for Jonathan Drouin, he is not a free agent to be. In fact, he's far from it. $5.5 million a season until 2023. But he's been on that leave of absence ever since before the playoffs even started, and we don't know what exactly is going on, but that's okay. We don't need to know these things. Drouin taking a personal leave of absence is self-explanatory. It is personal. We hope everything is going well for Drouin. But the update we did have from Marc-Andre Perreault on Twitter says that Jonathan Drouin contacted his teammates a few times since the playoffs started. He's evidently happy. He's still a member of the team, and they want the best for him, according to Dominique Ducharme. That translation was read on Reddit. This is from Pat the Brat, so thank you very much for the translation there. But Jonathan Drouin is still on the sidelines, cheering on the Habs, cheering on his buddies, and of course attending to whatever it is that he needs to attend to. Now, if you're a Habs fan looking to see Drouin come back in the playoffs, I'd say that's far from even a slight possibility. Because the way things are right now, you're at home, you're doing your own thing for a while. Who knows if Drouin is training? Who knows if Drouin is doing all of this stuff that would make him eligible to return quickly even? Who knows if he'd have to quarantine? That's the nature of taking a personal leave of absence. We just don't know if he is even able to come back, if he just woke up one day and decided, yep, I'm going to play for the Habs. Which is why you have to think about Drouin as well, because this guy is making $5.5 million. I doubt that Drouin's the kind of guy to sit out the rest of the contract that he is owed and just go off, do whatever it is that he wants. I feel like this is the kind of guy that at some point in the next few months would probably return to hockey in some form. So, where does that take him? Back to Montreal? Is there a viable future for Jonathan Drouin with the Habs, considering everything that has gone down since his departure? It's just like Tatar. This team has proven that they can win without Drouin. So, assuming he gets back in the game shape and eventually he does return, I say this with the utmost respect, but is there a possibility that there's a trade of some form for the Canadiens to try to recuperate assets? Because we're all super aware of how this fan base and the media would treat the guys like the Drouins and all them, the Drouins and the Domies, and I guess the Tatars nowadays, when they were on the team. I don't think I'd be wrong in the slightest if I say that Jonathan Drouin was one of the most polarizing players on the team in terms of the fan perspective of this guy. You had the lovers and you had the haters, but one thing's for sure though, without Jonathan Drouin, this Habs playoff run still happens. So when you take a look at it, take a look at the circumstances of this guy, whether or not he comes back soon or back later. Is there a trade to be made? Do they just keep him on LTIR? What exactly is the plan here? Because like it or not, even though we're having so much fun with the playoffs, there still is the behind the scenes, the backbone of this team that has to be dealt with. And that involves finances. That involves re-signing Tatar if you want to do that. That involves deciding what to do with Drouin's 5.5 AAV cap hit. So, talk to me in the comments what you think about this topic over here. Would you re-sign Tatar? Would you trade Drouin? Those are questions that Canadiens fans have to be thinking about over the next few weeks. So talk to me in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end of this video, comment in the comment section below Matthias Norlinder, because he is also another one of the pieces involved in the Pacioretty Suzuki trade. but he wasn't there directly. The Canadiens traded the pick they acquired in the Pacioretty trade, and they traded that pick down, eventually selecting Norlinder, which is why we're using that as our keyword here. Thank you so much for those who stuck around to the end of the video. Talk to me in the comments if you think you enjoyed this. Josh Wilson, and bye.